If you guys like to stream digital music like I do, you probably know what this is, the WiiM Pro, likely the most popular streamer to come out in the last several years. What you might not know about is the WiiM Pro Plus. That's right, the WiiM Pro now has a big brother. Now you might be saying, what's the difference? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you all about it. So we're going to set this up. I'm going to go through all the features. Then I'll also compare the Pro Plus to the Pro so you'll know which one is right for you. Well, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to get this thing out of the box and take a look at it. While we get this out of the box, let's talk a little bit about what this thing actually is. So this is a music streamer. And what this allows you to do is, wherever your music lives, maybe you're using Qobuz as a streaming service, or maybe you have a server at home doing DLNA. Well, this allows you to take those sources and then pipe it into your hi-fi system, right? It's pretty cool because this thing has support for just about everything built in, and we'll show that to you here in a little bit. But the idea is that you can have your system, and you'll have, you know, your amplifiers and your preamp and your speakers, and you need to get music in there. Well, this does it. You can funnel everything into your system through this device using an app installed on your phone, and it's all super duper easy. Okay, now looking at the device in the box itself. So inside of the box, you've got the WiiM Pro, nice and coated in plastic there, and that stuff comes off. In addition to that, you've got an optical cable. You've got your power, and that's like a USB cable with a USB brick, and also an RCA cable. Now, the RCA cables are pretty thin, and in audiophile world, people will probably scoff at them, but I use the cable, and it's totally fine. But, you know, you can use whatever you want to with this, no problem. Now that we're out of the box, let's talk a little bit about the unit itself, and we'll go over the ports. But first, one thing I want to call out is that this can be used as a preamp. Most people will use this as a streamer, but there are inputs on the back of this thing that allow you to input digital and analog and use the analog to digital converter for a phonograph or a tape player, something like that. So it can do that, and there are even volume control buttons on the front to control the volume. I personally don't plan to use this as a preamp at all. I have a dedicated piece for that, but in a scenario where you really just want to use this with amp and speakers, you can totally do that. This is all you need as a source, and then if you have a phonograph, you can plug that record player right in here and you're good to go. On the front of the unit, you got 4 buttons. They all sit flush, so you can't really feel them, but you've got volume up and down for when you use this as a preamp, a play pause button, and a preset button. Very straightforward. Personally, I never use these. I use the app on the phone, and we'll talk about that in a bit. On the rear of the unit are all the ports, and this is really where the magic is. We'll start, and we've got power. You've got your microphone, and this is for voice control. You've got Toslink SPDIF in and out. You've got coax out, Ethernet in. Then you've got a trigger, which is really nice. I like 12-volt trigger, and then your analog in and out. Now let's talk about the features. First and foremost, this is a streamer, and that means that you've got music somewhere out in the world, this will grab it and play it through your system. You can do that from a local server, or this can stream from the internet, and this natively attaches to and streams from all of these services and more. But you've got Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, Qobuz, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Napster, iHeartRadio, VTuner, which I really don't know anything about, Pandora, SoundCloud, and then the ... which means there's even more. This, at this point, is not Rune ready, which kind of hurts my heart, but it's coming. The old version, the WiiM Pro, is Rune ready, so this one will be at some point in the not too distant future, which I'm excited about. Now, if we flip the box around and go to even more features, if you want to use this with a phone, you've got AirPlay 2 and Chromecast. This is high-res audio, so 192.24, and that's really important, right? Because this box transcends what I would consider like a basic kind of consumer device. This is high-res audio. Really is the legit, real deal thing. Sounds awesome. The piece here, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later when I do the comparison of the Pro to the Pro Plus, is really the output stage, right? The output stage on this is so much better than the prior version. And when I say output stage, that's really the digital to analog, which you're then getting out of those RCAs. This really allows you to use this as an all-in-one solution, and you no longer need to use an external DAC. Now, if you want to use an external DAC, that's yet another feature. You can connect that with optical out. You can do it with coax, and then use the DAC of choice that you love. Although there's not a lot of reason to buy the Pro Plus if you're going to use an external DAC over the Pro version, because that's really the differentiator between the two. It's that DAC. But in any event, that's the high level on the features. Don't forget, it can also be used as a preamp, and it does do analog to digital conversion. So you can plug in your tape player, you can plug in your record player, and it will handle that and then output that along with any of the digital stuff along that same channel. It is installation time. Okay, now, if you were just to set the Pro Plus on top of the Pro, you really can't tell a difference. The physical differences are very, very subtle, and they're all on the back. But we're going to go ahead and install it, and I'm going to be careful not to mix them up. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the power from this guy, and I'm just going to reuse that. Now, one thing that you'll notice is that I'm going to remove this DAC as well, because I'm just going to use the Pro Plus by itself. So let me go ahead and get all this stuff pulled out. With all of that gone, let's install the Pro Plus. So we're going to have power, and then we're going to use the included RCA cables. Yeah, I know these aren't super special, but we're going to use these anyway since they were included. And then these will plug into my preamp. That's it. That's the installation. Now let's take a close look at the app. Now, depending on your phone, you'll just grab it from the App Store or the Google Play. And once that's installed, you pop it open. And for me, it immediately found the WiiM Pro Plus. I selected it, selected the line out, and then I allowed it to go ahead and connect to my Wi-Fi. It did that stuff all automatically. I didn't even have to type in a password, which is really, really cool. And then it was time for firmware. And this went through 3 different firmware updates, and I've cut out all that stuff for expediency because it was really boring and it took about 5 minutes. But once that was done, it went ahead and rebooted, and it was ready to rock and roll. Now, at this point, I could have done a room calibration so it would be synced up with other items when I wanted to do a party mode kind of thing. I elected to go ahead and skip because I don't plan to use that functionality in the near future. The last step for me was to add in a music source. And since I can't use Roon yet, I decided to go ahead and just directly attach Qobuz. I did so. I put in my username and my password, and it immediately downloaded all my settings, showed me my music, and it was happy listening after that. Man, awesome. The next question to answer is, what is the difference between the WiiM Pro and the WiiM Pro Plus? Physically, they are identical on the outside, right? All the connectors are the same. The dimensions are the same. The only thing that I saw that I noticed that was different is that on the new version, there's a little extra room around the RCA connections so you can get a slightly larger cable in the notch, but it's very, very small, very, very subtle. All of the changes are inside of the guts, and there are 3 different things to talk about. The first big upgrade is in the ADC, the analog to digital converter. And this new version, the WiiM Pro Plus, uses the TI Burr Brown PCM 1861, right? And that achieves, and I'm reading now, 192 32-bit digital output. So better than before, although I've seen some measurements on this, and it doesn't look like this is a super, super, super awesome input stage, but it is a nice, competent input stage. I'm not sure how many people will actually use this as a preamp, so it's likely a non-issue for 95% of folks out there, especially if you're leaning toward the higher end of the world, because you're definitely going to have some kind of preamp that you can put all your analog stuff into. But if you need to use it, it is better than before. The second upgrade is the ultra low noise clock, power, and circuit design. So the claimed number here is lower than 110 decibels of THD plus N, and that's quite good. I mean, quite good. And I think it gets up to the level where you really can't tell it apart from any other high-end piece of equipment. So very nice, competent construction there. The third and final upgrade we're going to talk about is the output stage itself, and that's the new DAC, which is the AKM 4493 SEQ and TI op amps. This has absolutely transformed this streamer from something where you have to use an external DAC to a unit where you can't tell it apart. It becomes indistinguishable for the most part from DACs costing many times the cost of this unit, and this unit only costs $220. So I think for all but the most audiophile of audiophiles, this output stage is going to be all you ever need, and you would never even think about adding an external TAC to this unit. I've been sitting here listening to this thing for the last couple hours, and I am completely happy, right? And I've switched back and forth between this unit, the older unit with external DACs, and to my ears, I don't need anything more than the DAC that's inside this unit. Some folks might say, well, you compare this to a $10,000 DAC, and you're going to hear a difference. I really think that for 99.99% of the people out there, you would never tell a difference. It's that good. And if you look at the measurements, there are a lot of measurements out there. This falls into the category of it's pretty awesome, and you have to have instruments to be able to tell the difference between this and something else. We've made it to the end of the review, and now it's time for the final word. So, do I recommend this device? Absolutely, with zero reservations. This thing is awesome. It fixes all of the problems that I had with the Pro version and creates something that I'm very happy to use, and I have been using and will continue to use. The question is, should you buy this one or the Pro version? Well, I would likely buy this one if I didn't already have a Pro, simply because if I ever do want to use the output stage, I'll have it. If you're not going to use the output stage ever and you don't want the remote control, maybe the Pro is okay. But I think I would err on the side of caution and get the better device. It really has better tech built in. It sounds better, and it gets the unit to a point where I feel that it's in audiophile class without using the external DAC. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, please like and subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things, and I'll see you all in the next video.